This week's episode of AEW Dynamite kicks off with an explosive 8-man tag team match. The Hardys teaming up with SCU as they take on the team of Private Party, ACH Marquen and Isaiah Cassidy, and also Scorpio Sky. And after 11 minutes and 5, it is Scorpio Sky that pins Jeff Hardy with a blackout there, as Private Party were kind of in need of a win, a big win like this against the Hardys. The Hardys agreed to team up with SCU on last week's episode of Dynamite. Well, how about this? After the match, Scorpio Sky slips out the ring after getting a roll-up on Jeff Hardy. Kazarian and Daniels chase him to the back. They still have that heated feud going on as Scorpio Sky left SCU. Well, Jeff seems annoyed after eating the pin. Matt Hardy stands next to him and puts his hand out to help him to his feet, but Jeff shoves it away. He stands, looks at Matt and begins to walk off, but Matt spins him around and stares him down, and he questions him, and Darby Allin watches on. Matt gets in Jeff's face some more, and Jeff pushes him away. Matt pushes back. Darby tries to break it up, but Matt accidentally hits Darby. Matt realises what he's just done, and Darby shakes his head and leaves. Matt looks pissed as he watches Darby exit. He turns on Jeff, tackling him to the canvas. He hammers away at him, both scrapping. They get back to their feet, and Matt hits a twist of fate, laying out Jeff Hardy. And he can be heard saying, "It was a bad idea, a stupid idea, to bring you here." And then we hear JR. It's Wednesday, you know what that means. We're just a few days removed from a Wild Night Fight Fest, which saw the AEW champion Kenny Omega defeat Pac in a brutal non-title unsanctioned match. That 25-foot one-winged angel is all everyone is talking about, and we believe that Pac has returned to England, his home, to recover, which leaves Penta and Phoenix on their own for the time being, and I'm sure they'll have something to say about the actions of the Elite. And how about the announcement from Cody Rhodes Saturday tonight? Lance Archer and Miro will face off, the winner receiving a TNT Championship match. Plus, Tony Khan announced there is a new show coming to AEW, and I can't wait to find out more. Also tonight, the Bullet Club make their in-ring debut against Impact's Dez and Wentz. And what next for Shayna Baszler and the women's division? All that and much more. Let's take it to the ring, as we'll have another look at tonight's card then. So we're finally going to see the Bullet Club officially enter an AEW ring and take on Dez and Wentz of Impact. And how about this? Will Hangman Page cash in that casino chip, which will guarantee him a shot at Kenny Omega's AEW Championship? And speaking of Kenny Omega, the world champion, we will be hearing from him a bit later tonight alongside Don Callis. Will Shayna Baszler retire after losing to Tessa Blanchard? And as promised on Dark this week, Britt Baker will face Big Swole. And tonight's big main event, Miro against Lance Archer. The winner will face Cody Rhodes at Fight for the Fallen for the TNT Championship. So up next for Dynamite, MJF walks into the Pinnacle locker room asking Dax and Cash where Hangman Page is. Have they seen him? He's supposed to be cashing his casino chip in tonight, or at least announcing when he will face Omega for the world title. Dax and Cash haven't heard from him or seen him since Saturday at Fight Fest. MJF might have to do it for Hangman then. Dax and Cash ask whether MJF wants to go ahead with what they've been planning, and MJF tells them to do it, as it'll only work in their favour. It'll be leverage if the Elite squirm out of this casino chip match. MJF asks Wardlow to go look elsewhere for Page then, as we get a 70 for this segment. What is it Pinnacle are planning? We're going to find out very shortly, actually. Up next, Brian Cage paces back and forth in the ring as his opponent tonight is Orange Cassidy, who makes his way to the ring. He's surrounded by his best friends, Trent, Chuck, and Chris Statlander. As Orange steps into the ring, Chris Statlander boots him on the nose for good luck. Brian Cage looks on with a smirk as Taz is heard telling him to eat him alive. Judas plays just before the bell rings, and Chris Jericho heads out with Floyd on his shoulder. Taz is going berserk, and Cage is questioning the referee. He wants Jericho evicted. Jericho just paces back and forth at the top of the entranceway as the match gets under the way. Jericho causing no harm here for the ref to make any wild sort of decision to evict him, to get him gone from ringside. Will Jericho have anything to do with the match? No. Brian Cage defeats Orange Cassidy in 11 minutes 19 after a drill claw. We get a 52 here. It's about that had good heat, decent wrestling, both putting on a decent performance within the ring as well. 62 there for Brian Cage. Cage the victor, Orange Cassidy to be kept strong. Well, after the match, Taz steps into the ring clapping Brian Cage after beating Orange Cassidy. Cage slowly building some momentum here as a singles competitor. Sammy Guevara pushes Orange to the outside, getting him out of the ring. Then he celebrates alongside Cage. Fists, bumps all around, arms raised. Orange Cassidy is on the outside. He runs his fingers through his hair. Trent and Chuck place his glasses on as they walk away. Chris Jericho lets the best friends pass as he watches on a few moments later. He accepts that Cage has won and leaves himself. So Jericho, we know, beat Starks at Fyter Fest, and now it seems like he's, stalking Team Taz. There's gotta be more in this, surely, as we get a 72 rating for this segment, as we will head on over into our next one as Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, they're seen walking through a corridor backstage, followed by Dark Gallows and Carl Anderson, acting cocky with their titles draped over their shoulders. And then they bump into Marco Stunt, who looks up to them all. Matt just smirks and Nick shoves him out of the way, saying they're on official elite business. Marco goes to retaliate, but Doc stands in the way, staring down at him. Just imagine the height difference there. And he tells him to think twice before doing anything stupid. And they continue on. So we get a 72 for this small interaction, maybe setting up for something a bit later on down the line between maybe the Good Brothers or even the Young Bucks. Ahead of the Bullet Club making their in-ring debut in AEW, AJ Styles heads out from the entranceway alongside Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. He fist bumps them both as they make their way to the ring, and AJ Styles heads over to the commentary table. So a nice simple little segment here as we are going to see Tama Tonga and Tangaloa debut here in AEW against the Rascals of Dez and Wentz, and in about that good heat and decent wrestling, Tama and Tanga do go over. They beat Dez and Wentz in 11 minutes 44. Tama pinning Dez with a Tongan twist, and we get 61 there. We're not putting in that, the matches, they just haven't been up to scratch as they should be on a flagship show like Dynamite. The segments have been pretty decent so far, the ratings, After the match with the Rascals sent packing, AJ Styles climbs into the ring, standing beside Tama and Tanga with a mic, and he lays down the gauntlet. Bullet Club are here to stay, whether the Elite like it or not. They're going to continue to grow, to get stronger, and one day soon the Elite will be finished and order will be resumed, and Tony Khan will get his vision of AEW back. Dax and Cash, a Pinnacle, slide into the ring and attack Tama and Tanga from behind. AJ Styles gets involved, fighting back. It's 3 against 2. And Dax and Cash then quickly leave the ring laughing. The feathers of the Bullet Club have officially been ruffled. So not only have they got their focus set on the Elite, the Bullet Club, but now it seems as though Pinnacle are sticking their nose in. And it's only because they possess that casino chip through Hangman Page. Up next, both Santana and Ortiz are backstage cutting a promo with Conan. They talk about how they have done nothing but bust their asses and become the next number 1 contenders to Matt and Nick's Tag Team Championships for the majority of 2021. They've done nothing but focus. They look back at last year's All Out when they lost to Matt and Nick. Things are different this year. There's more at stake. This time, they know what to expect from the Young Bucks. They know what they have to do. They aren't going to fall victim to their little Elite holiday camp games. And they promise they will beat Matt and Nick. They will become the next tag champs. They will rip away the shackles that they've put on the tag team division. Watch us. Conan featuring a bit more then here in AEW alongside Santana and Ortiz. Are they in it for themselves, or is something else happening here in the background? We'll have to wait and see. Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, makes his entrance dressed smartly with his title over his shoulder, and he is accompanied, of course, by the Invisible Hand, Don Callis. Once in the ring, Callis reels off Kenny's record and how he is God's gift to pro wrestling. Kenny then revels in what he did to Pac at Fight Fest, how he hit that one-winged angel from the top of the entranceway, how Pac is now out of action for the foreseeable future. He's just so high on life at the moment. No one can stop him or the Elite. And he wants Tony Khan to keep throwing competition at him so he can keep knocking them down. The angle getting the crowd hot as we get 70, but we're not done there yet with Kenny Omega and Don Callis, because up next, MJF interrupts as he walks out the ring telling Kenny to shut his hole. He thought he was done with all this Elite bullshit after he beat Cody back in 2020 at Revolution and playing happy families with his lackey friends, but it seems not. But he wants to put all that behind him. He wants to move on, and he strongly believes in the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which is why him and Pinnacle are willing to give the Elite a hand with the Bullet Club, as we saw earlier. MJF tells of how Hangman Adam Page should be here doing this, not him, but he wishes to cash Page's casino chip in. Kenny and Callis laugh, and Callis says Page may have a casino chip, but he clearly doesn't have the guts to cash it in. Kenny himself doesn't think Page has the guts to face Omega. Otherwise, he'd be here right now. The Elite forgot him a long time ago, just like Pinnacle should. Just like they should forget the casino chip. And Callis tells MJF and Pinnacle, keep attacking the Bullet Club though, if you want. And they go to leave. We get a big 86 rating for this. MJF, absolutely magical, working wonders here in this segment, although I know it does say that Kenny Omega was a real star in this segment. Imagine what sort of match these two could have. Maybe we'll see that somewhere down the line, maybe in the near future, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. Kenny Omega then goes to walk past MJF, but MJF puts a hand on his chest, stopping him. Callis jumps in to remove MJF's hands, and they stare one another down. MJF just simply tells Omega to think clearly. John Moxley races out from the crowd and slides into the ring. Omega and Callis get out of dodge. Mox is all worked up, and then he comes face to face with MJF. MJF just holds his hands up. He doesn't want anything to do with John Moxley. Mox goes back to staring down Omega and Callis on the ramp. As he turns back around, he realises his mistake. MJF nails him over there with the microphone, knocking him out. Shouldn't have turned his back on MJF. MJF straightens his suit and tells Omega to think about it. Omega and Callis leave as MJF looks at Mox with disgust. Now, I'm not sure what it is, but every sort of segment I'm putting John Moxley in at the moment just doesn't seem to be breaking into the 70s. Whether that's because I tweaked his character, I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that one. But up next anyway, Tony Khan stands alongside Tony Schiavone, who interviews him about his latest announcement of a new AEW show that will be live on Monday nights. Tony Khan is excited and has been for some time, as this new show will be a great opportunity for the AEW roster. It's a show that's going to ignite the Dynamite. So there we have it. That is the name of the Monday night show for AEW. AEW Ignite. Stay tuned for its debut. Up next then, Charles Betts is in action against Chris Sabin. And it's Charles Betts that defeats Sabin in 8 minutes 33 after a pinfall after a grand amplitude. Charles Betts with a 60 there, Sabin with a 63. These two absolutely going at it. Felt as though we needed to put something like this in there, because I know Charles Betts will put in the work. And this, believe it or not, is his debut on Dynamite. Well, Kurt Angle is smiling from ear to ear as Charles Betts picks up another win in AEW. He steps into the ring with the mic and congratulates Betts. He tells Betts he's going to go on and become a real force, someone that's put the hard work in, and it's only a matter of time before he starts to reap the rewards. And they get interrupted by Taz pretending to be sick. Please. He once again tells Betts how foolish he was for accepting Angle's offer. He wants Betts to meet a real specimen, someone he wouldn't be able to out-wrestle, and that's Jeff fucking Cobb. Jeff Cobb joins Taz at the top of the entranceway. Taz tells Cobb to go teach Betts a lesson. As Cobb storms down to the ring, Sammy Guevara slides in behind Betts and Angle, attacking Betts. Angle can't do a damn thing. Cobb climbs in and hits a tour of the islands on Betts. Taz says, "Screw your academy bullshit. This is the big leagues." Team Taz leave. Angle is pissed. Jeff Cobb against Charles Betts. Just imagine. It's like two American college wrestling sports teams going at one another here at the moment between Team Taz and Angle and Betts. Shayna Baszler is walking backstage with what seems to be her letter of resignation / retirement. She approaches Brandi Rhodes, who's the head of the women's division, and goes to hand it to her after losing against Tessa Blanchard at Fyter Fest. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, walks past on her way to the ring, and she passes comments saying she can't wait to see the back of Bad Trash. Bye-bye. She continues on her way. Baszler thinks twice before handing Brandi the letter. Brandi says she hasn't got all day. Baszler rips up the letter and leaves. She is staying. She is not retiring. She is reconsidered. Britt Baker could be her next target. Britt Baker, DMD, makes her way to the ring ahead of her match against Big Swole. She grabs a mic and begins to talk about how tonight's match is the spark that's going to set alight the DMD era in AEW. She hopes Tessa is watching because it won't be long until it's her that's staring at the lights and the Doctor standing above her with the title held high. And just as I feared, it's a poor match. We get a 30 here. Britt Baker does go over. She beats Big Swole. And this is the first time she's faced Big Swole in this save, actually. I think we're going to have to start utilising the pre-show or post-show feature to build these ladies up. Penta El Zero, Miedo and Rey Fenix stand together, and it's quite obvious that they are without Pac. They're a brother down, and will be for a while, but that won't stop the Lucha Brothers, the best luchas in all of the land. Penta says that Kenny may be done with Pac now, but he is far from done with Penta and Phoenix. They tell Kenny to keep surrounding himself with Glingos. They will come and they will punish for the damage he has caused. They will come. Expect us. Celo, Miedo. Both walk off as we get a 72 here for this little segment, this little promo from the Lucha Brothers. As Pac is now written off TV, we have given him rest after that big match against Kenny Omega at Fyter Fest. Cody Rhodes and Arn Anderson are shown sat in an office with a huge screen ready to watch the main event match between Lance Archer and Miro. The winner will go on to face Cody for the TNT Championship. That has been confirmed. It will take place at Fight for the Fallen. And they are discussing a few pointers with pen and papers in front of them to take notes. Miro's music begins to play as he makes his entrance. Archer is out next as the match gets underway. This is the main event. And in about that had great heat, good wrestling, and got 61. It is Lance Archer that defeats Miro in 11 minutes 2 after a blackout. Jake Roberts, he interfered in this match. The match getting the crowd buzzing. And Jake the Snake did do some good work at ringside. Do you expect anything less? I was hoping we was going to break into that 70 for this main event. But I will take it. Such a difficult decision to make. As well, having Archer go over Miro, but Miro's just going to become unhinged now. Well, he already was heading into that TNT title match against Cody when he was defending it, but it's just going to get worse. Archer wins. He celebrates by acting manic within the ring, shouting, stomping around. He stands up on the middle turnbuckle. We cut to Cody Rhodes' office where he looks slightly concerned as he hasn't faced Archer yet in AEW. Well, he hasn't in this save. Arn is quiet. taking notes after what he's just witnessed. He seems a bit anxious. On the outside, sat on the steps, is Miro. He looks up to the heavens. Looks like he's praying. AEW Dynamite comes to a close with Archer looking straight down the camera with an evil grin on his face. Could the Murder Hawk Monster era about to begin here in AEW as we get a 72 for this show, for this episode of Dynamite. I'm glad it's in the 70s, but it's not the best show I've put on, and I don't think we could have done any better, really, coming off the back of Fight Fest, knowing that we've got Fight for the Fallen next week, so we're going to have to bug some matches in the next show, and we'll have to treat Fight for the Fallen as another episode of Dynamite, really. So this week's episode of Dynamite drew a 3.36 TV rating. We had 2.5 million tuning in, the majority of that coming from the All Elite Network. We were down over on TNT, down to 877,000 tuning in. That was up at about hovering around 950 last week, so it has gone down. But hopefully next week I might put Fight for the Fallen on Dynamite instead of it being on a Saturday as a pay-per-view. We'll just do it for the 2 hours. Hopefully things will pick up a bit for that. Anyway, let's have a look at NXT then this week. So we beat them in show rating again, and we've also slaughtered them in TV rating. They only got a 1.97. In total they had 1.5 million. Over on BT Sport here in the UK, they have 50,000 tuning in. That's really poor. And on the USA Network, they had 1.4 million there. Obviously, just looking at networks, if we exclude the All Elite Network that we had, which drew in our biggest number, if we had the USA Network and TNT together, NXT are unfortunately beating us in TV rating there, as we only drew 877,000 this week. So, it's a good job we invested in that All Elite Network. Anyway, folks, that is it for this episode of Dynamite. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all for next week's episode, and Dynamite special, Fight for the Fallen. Don't miss it. Thanks for watching.